Hi, welcome to Reddit Tea Time. My husband, 33 male, and I, 33 female, have been married for 10 years, together since college. Since starting out, we've made financial security a priority and have been able to achieve that, albeit with some good luck along the way. We both have good jobs, paying close to $200K each. Student loans were paid off within a few years. Both went to state schools with some scholarships, so didn't have a lot of debt to begin with. We live in a house I inherited from my grandmother, no mortgage, and don't have any credit card debt. We max out our 401ks and currently have 18 months of expenses in our emergency fund and are still adding to it. Our cars are both paid off and should be good for another 5+ years. We manage our finances in a hybrid manner, joint accounts for bills and savings and separate accounts for our fun money. We each get a pretty generous monthly allotment. The fun money is strictly for our individual expenses, hobbies, clothes, outings with friends, etc., and not for things like date nights, vacations, or larger joint purchases like household appliances and repairs which come out of our joint account. We also agreed that if either of us gets any bonuses or has any side hustle money, those will go into our individual fun money accounts, unless the funds are needed for a larger expense such as a major home repair. In terms of the fun money, my husband is much more of a spender than I am due to expensive hobbies, in particular golf and collecting sports memorabilia, and he's also more into designer clothes, which is fine, it's his fun money. On the other hand, my hobbies are a lot less expensive: running, working out, reading, baking. In general, I'm more introverted, and a great time for me is tea with a friend at one of our homes with homemade pastries. I've also been getting back into gaming lately after setting it aside for much more of the past decade while building my career. After realizing I had more than enough in my fun money account, I decided to overhaul my gaming setup and got myself a new PC, desk, and gaming chair. Total cost of about $5,000. However, upon hearing about the purchase, my husband is furious. He says he had no idea I had saved so much money and that I should have consulted him before spending $5,000. I asked what difference it made if it was my own accrued fund money and not our joint funds, and he insisted that my accumulating this amount without telling him was a form of financial infidelity. He said he lost trust in me and doesn't know what else I might be hiding. He's demanding that I return the items I purchased and deposit most of the funds to our joint account. He wants to make a new rule that fund money accounts can't accumulate more than $2,000 and that any excess goes back to the joint account. A rule that would obviously favor him as a person who spends most of his allotment each month instead of saving up for anything bigger. I feel like I'm being punished for being more of a day-to-day saver than spender. It wouldn't occur to me to demand to know how much my husband has in his fund money account or to try to micromanage what he spends it on. I wasn't hiding anything deliberately. He never asked about it until after I made the purchases. Still, maybe I should have been more transparent about my plans. So am I the bonehead? Miscellaneous info. Husband and I have our own office or hobby room in the house, so it's not like the gaming setup was going in a space he uses. I don't usually game when my husband is home unless he's already busy doing something else. My biggest block of gaming time is typically when he's off playing golf. Also, I run 40 to 50 miles a week, so it's not like I'm generally sedentary. I can't think of a good reason why he would object to me gaming or having a nice gaming setup in my own space in the house. Now for some comments. Not the bonehead. He sounds super controlling and greedy. My wife and I manage our finances in a similar way. She spends her money on whatever she wants and I blow mine on outdoor stuff and video games. We have joint checking and savings for household expenses, kids, vacations, etc. I would sit him down and tell him how he chooses to spend his own money is his business and how you spend yours is your business. He agreed to this arrangement and doesn't get to change the rules because he chooses to manage his money differently than you, and you aren't going to return anything because he's acting like a spoiled man-child who didn't get a new toy when you did. OP replied, I actually have a lot more than $5K saved. We've had this arrangement for a few years and I typically only spend $500 of my allotted $1,500 per month. Maybe a bit more some months if I need to replace my running shoes, buy other clothes, or have any outings with friends planned like concerts, but in that range. Not the bonehead. This isn't a money issue. It's a control issue. Seems like you've spooked him by showing you can quietly amass funds out of sight. You're making a good income and have few expenses, so $5K shouldn't be that big a deal regardless of the circumstance. The only reason it is because your spouse thinks he should have a say in your spending. I'm not saying this is abusive behavior. It could be something else, but this is a thing abusers do. Better to nip it in the bud. Do not agree to the new 2K limit. Push back. OP, money generally means freedom. Freedom to do as you wish. Your husband finding out how you can save such a large amount of money very likely frightens him. He now has verifiable proof that he's been denying to himself, mind you, that you don't need him. If you want to say, all right, I'm out. Get out of my house, my grandmother left me. He can't say no to that. OP's got hand here and her controlling husband doesn't like it. It's funny that he's accusing you of financial infidelity when he's trying to manipulate you into handing over money you saved. This is a naked money grab, not the bonehead. OP replies, yes, it does feel like he's trying to change the rules and make me feel guilty about not spending all my extra money right away. Honestly, this is one of the main reasons I thought separate discretionary accounts was a good idea. Ironically, I thought it would prevent arguments about what we should be spending or saving. Not the bonehead. Girl, you know he's just jealous and bitter because you're better at budgeting than him. He's being ridiculous and controlling, and frankly, it's a giant red flag. Now that he's shown his true colors, it's even more important that you keep separate funds in case this escalates. If this is new behavior, maybe you could try to find out what is motivating him to be a butthead. But it probably wouldn't hurt to review past behavior to see if there have been other signs that he's controlling that you may have brushed off before this. Good luck, and feel comfortable that he's being a drama llama. I got my son a pet mouse that he was initially very happy with, but after he went to his dad's house and came back, he said he didn't like it anymore because it was a low-quality inbred mouse because his dad told him so. I called up my ex-husband who played dumb and said he only meant it as a joke. But I knew better. He's always trying to poison our children against me. My son kept whining about the mouse and demanding I take it back to the pet store and get him a new one. I told him that the pet store doesn't allow returns and that the mouse was just fine. Unbeknownst to me, my son later took away his mouse's food and water and let it die of starvation. Then he showed me the dead mouse and said I had to buy him a new one. I don't know what kind of messed up logic he was operating with, but I told him I don't have to do anything and that he can have a pet when he's more mature. My ex-husband claimed he was horrified by what our son did, but I bet he was laughing his head off. That was exactly what he wanted to happen when he started with that low-quality inbred mouse line. So I decided to duct tape the dead mouse to my ex-husband's door, like the German army used to do in Belgium. Since he's raising our son to be a selfish jerk and a monster, he can deal with a dead mouse on his door. Now for some comments. Your son tortured. Starvation is a slow and excruciating way to die. An innocent animal, and you're more concerned about asking the internet if you're a bonehead than about getting him the psychiatric care he clearly and desperately needs? Seriously, everyone sucks here. Everyone sucks here. This is the most disgusting, disturbing thing I've read in a long time. Congratulations. You probably have a future serial killer or sociopath on your hands. I truly hope this isn't real. WTF, everyone sucks here. Your family is insane and animal abusers. What's wrong with you? None of you should be responsible for living things. You're all irresponsible and unhinged. This is beyond Reddit's pay grade. Everyone sucks here. You and your ex for being the kind of selfish parents who let their own petty crap get in the way of what's best for their kids. And now your son. Congratulations. You're both turning him into a little sociopath. Get him and yourselves into some therapy ASAP. You're both boneheads, and your son is a pint-sized psychopath because of the two of you. Get therapy before he grows up and turns into a violent criminal. And recalculate your own life. Damn. There was never an age where I would have been able to willfully starve an animal to death. I wish you knew how unbelievably unhinged and concerning that is. You both are raising a friggin' monster. Both of you. You two need to grow up and figure your crap out, and that son of yours needs to be in therapy for a very long time. What the F did I just read? And then likened yourself to the German army during the rape of Belgium? You can write go to hell, and definitely you're the bonehead. Make no mistake, sounds like the son gets a lot of traits from you. You guys are insane. Your kid needs help, by the way. Killing animals, especially pets, is not a good sign at all. But then again, neither is using their corpse to send a message. That's effed up. What's a high quality or low quality mouse anyway? Don't get any more pets. I, 24 male, live with my mom in a rural part of the US. For context, when it comes to my sister, 37, She is much older and we come from different fathers and both grew up in split custody arrangements. We're not particularly close, almost acquaintances more so than siblings. I don't really feel any familial connection. Even though I love her, I don't feel obligated to bend backward for her. Well, sister lives 2 hours away, in a much more urban area, and is currently going through a divorce. Her and her ex-husband only had one vehicle and it belongs to the ex-husband, so when they split, he took the car. Sister has 4 daughters and works a full-time job. I, on the other hand, work from home and have no real external responsibilities. My mom came to me asking if my sister could borrow my car for a couple of months until the divorce is finalized, so she has a way of transporting her and her kids to wherever they need to be without the financial burden of purchasing another car or relying exclusively on ride-sharing. I recently bought my car, 12 V8 Mustang, and it's my first vehicle ever. I didn't get a hand-me-down or get one as a present when I turned 16 or 18. I was basically immobile except occasionally being allowed to drive my mom's car, or when my dad had me I could get Ubers. Getting my own vehicle was extremely liberating, minus the loan, and I don't feel trapped at home, so when I was approached with this proposal I flat out said no. I can totally understand the justification for letting her use my car for a couple of months, but aside from the fact that I don't want to lose my newfound sense of freedom, I also just don't want someone else driving my car, and maybe that's selfish of me. Over the last few days, my mom and sister have been trying to convince me to let her use the car, saying that she would pay for the car payment while she has the car, or that she'd pay for insurance if she has it longer than anticipated. No matter what they brought to the table, I kept saying no, much to their dissatisfaction. Fast forward to this morning, I realized that my mom isn't home. I opened our garage to see that her car was still there, but mine was not. I immediately knew what has happened and called my mom about the situation. She just tries to calm me down and have me try to picture it from my sister's point of view, but I'm just flushed with rage and instead just tell her that I'm going to report the vehicle as stolen instead. She just hung up the phone. As of now, I presume my car is down with my sister, and I'm seriously considering reporting it stolen and naming her and my sister as perpetrator and conspirator. I really don't want it to go that far, and I hope that we could instead work this out. But what I initially said as an angry threat, I'm starting to really consider as an option. I just don't know if it's worth burning so many bridges over a car, but the fact that my family won't respect my boundaries or my property is so frustrating. Would I be the bonehead? Now for some comments before the updates. Not the bonehead. This is absolutely theft, and they need to learn to respect your property. Call it in. Not the bonehead. It's stolen. You didn't give permission to take it. Call the police. Report it. Your sister cannot transport 4 kids in your car. It isn't practical at all, especially if some are in car seats or booster seats. A Mustang wouldn't be able to accommodate that. And she's saying she'll pay your insurance, but is she insured? OP, not the bonehead. Call them and say, you have 1 hour to return my car, and then I'm calling the police. If your sister can afford to make your payments and pay insurance, why can't she rent a car or buy a beater? Stealing your car seems like a very bad choice on her part. Give her 24 hours to get it back and lock up all copies of your keys. If mom wants her other daughter to have a car, mom can give her own car over. This is theft, pure and simple. That said, you should understand that if you call the police, which is absolutely your right, you may well lose your home if your mother decides to kick you out over it. She's clearly prioritizing your half-sister right now, and I can understand why. Still, it's not okay to take your car when they asked and you said no. You would not be the bonehead, but think hard because this may burn familial bridges for a long, long time. OP said, I replied in detail to another comment regarding my mom lending out her own car. When it comes to familial bridges being burned, to be honest, from my point of view, they have already been burned. Maybe the fire can still be put out, and if I report it stolen, that's no longer the case, if that makes sense. Now for the updates. Thanks everyone for all the input into the situation. I sincerely appreciate it. I ended up giving them an ultimatum to return my car by business close tonight. If they do, I would be willing to move past it and not let it affect any future relationships. I said I would also pitch in a small amount of money to help my sister rent or buy her own car. But if they don't return it by close of business, I'll be filing a police report that my vehicle has been stolen and that it was my mom who is the perpetrator and my sister is a conspirator. To answer a couple of questions all at once, Mom has her own car but doesn't want to lend hers out because she needs it for work every day. I had offered to let her use mine for work and she lend her car to sister, but she refused this idea, saying that she doesn't feel comfortable driving my car and that she needs ample space for medical supplies. She's an in-home nurse. I'm well aware that my living situation will change if I call the police on my mom and sister, but honestly, the living situation is already compromised. Regardless of the resolution, I'll be moving out as immediately as possible as I'm financially stable enough to do so. This whole thing is just the straw that broke the camel's back. I didn't put this in the original post, but I've been getting a lot of comments regarding living free at my mother's house. We split bills 60-40 on basically everything. It's not truly 50-50, but absolutely by no means am I freeloading at my mom's house. We'll update again if car has been returned or not. Second update. The car has been returned, so the police will not need to get involved. However, there is body damage that wasn't there the last time I used it. OP attached a picture. I can't tell if it was intentional damage or not, but it honestly doesn't matter. I'll be getting all relevant papers in order, and then we'll be lawyering up so the damages are paid for. As soon as this entire situation is resolved, I will be moving out. I've learned to never keep my keys out ever again. Thanks so much everyone for your input and advice. Final update. After the overwhelming majority of you told me that I need to go to the police in my last post, I've decided to report the entire situation to my local sheriff's office. We'll do everything in my power to make it so charges aren't pressed, which I hope is likely since car was returned. We'll still be doing everything I mentioned in my previous post regarding getting all papers in order and moving out as soon as possible. We'll probably still look into getting a lawyer just in case. Told the sheriff's office that my car was stolen for approximately 16 hours by my mom and sister, and that when the car was returned there was body damage that wasn't previously there. They're sending over a deputy to look at my car and question myself and my mom about the situation. I have group text chats that list my ultimatum, as well as some texts that were exchanged previously about my mom and sister essentially begging me to use my car while I kept saying no. I'll be making my mom or sister pay for the body damage, and if insurance won't, I'll be going to court for it. I don't care how petty that is, or if it just opens an even larger can of worms. I absolutely refuse to pay $2,000 plus for body damage repairs that I didn't create. Hopefully, this is the actual final update I'll have to post regarding this situation. Regardless of the damage, I'm just glad that I have my car back. Family situation is beyond busted and will be going no contact with sister for an indefinite amount of time, and will do the same with mom as soon as I move out, which is hopefully by the end of the month. Thank you all for your advice and input throughout this whole ordeal. Now for some comments. Wow, so having the car less than 24 hours, or in this case 16 hours as you stated, they already wrecked it. If it was accidental, then it shows their potentially bad driving skills, and if it was on purpose, then it shows how vindictive they are when they don't get their way. This in and of itself is evidence that you shouldn't loan any cars that you care about. OP, you're a good person and try to set more than fair limits, but your family can't seem to respect that at all. Not gonna lie, what really triggered me on this was your mom saying that she wasn't comfortable driving your car and wouldn't lend hers to your sister. That shows a few potential things. First, your mom doesn't trust your sister with her car. Second, your mom isn't comfortable with the idea of borrowing or lending cars when it directly involves her, making her a massive hypocrite. Third, your mom feels it's somehow your responsibility to fix your family's issues. Fourth, your mom doesn't respect your money or property. Fifth, your mom doesn't respect you and thinks she can boss you around when there's a completely viable alternative. Holy crap, imagine if she has your car for months. I can just imagine the damage. Blown motor, beat to heck, and probably pedestrians in danger if all the Mustang stereotypes hold true. You know, what I don't understand is why your sister wanted to borrow a car that's too small for her and 4 kids. Did she plan to allow some of them to ride unsecured? If they had been injured or killed, that probably would have ruined your life financially. Your female relatives need to grow the heck up.
What do you think? Please let me know in the comments below. If you liked this story and you've made it this far, please consider subscribing. I really appreciate you spending your valuable time with me. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next Reddit story. In the meantime, please take care of yourself. Bye for now.